and friends, Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know it does not work. All right, so I have a friend of mine that's in Delaware who had a roof issue. She had a contractor that came out and told her that the whole roof was a mess and that they needed to go ahead and replace it. And for the 20-year shingles, it was going to be about $11,000, and the 25-year shingles was going to be about, I think, $13,000. I was actually on this roof before because the problem was there's a skylight that's in the bathroom, and you could see some stains around it. This is probably about 3 or 4 months ago. And the bathroom, there was some stains too, and the drywall was wet. So this is actually the roof up here. Here's the skylight. And the problem is there was like a pin dot leak, a nail hole that was over by the skylight. And the skylight itself actually had water that was inside of the lens there. We went through and we actually tarred around that and took care of it. And we went through and we resealed around the bathroom vent. And so they came out and said, oh, you need a whole new roof. So in the bathroom downstairs, right below this, there's a stain in the ceiling. And it was wet here before. So again, we patched that up. But the homeowner went through and they had the roofer look at it and say, oh, it's still leaking, it's in bad shape. Well, you can see the dust on me. I actually cut it open and the drywall and everything else was dry from it. So the leak is no longer there. And I'm not saying that she couldn't use a new roof in the near future, but here's when the roofing shingles start to get old, you'll start seeing the gaps here will start getting wider. You'll see a lot of the gravel actually on the roof itself, and you'll see these start to curl and raise up. This roof is actually in pretty good shape, with the only exception being is there is some moss that's growing over there because it's really, really shaded. So we're going to go through and we're going to patch the drywall, and we're going to double check and reseal around these joints. But instead of it costing her $10,000 plus, it's actually a simple fix. The hardest part on this job is that it's about a 3-hour drive here. But hey, at least we're taking care of business. All right, let's go to the store and get what we need. So I took and opened up the ceiling down there and took out a section of the drywall where it had a leak, because I wanted to double check and make sure that it wasn't still leaking. And if it was still leaking, the drywall itself, you could take a utility knife and just push right into the drywall because it would have disintegrated. But that wasn't the case. The drywall was actually still solid as can be. And you could see where the insulation was actually wet. It's an old blown in insulation, and it had gotten crusty. So normally it'll be nice and flaky, but because it was crusty, you know that it had been wet. But it was dry as a bell. Dry as a bell? I don't think that's the right saying. But it was definitely dry and wasn't leaking anymore. It was just the stains that were there from when we were here before. So we've used some quick drying 20 on there. I got it taped, I got it blocked. I'll go back through and do one more coat before we leave. And just to make sure, this was the issue right here, and I remember when it was here, there was actually a nail hole, a nail that was protruding right in here. So we ended up going through and putting some roof tar just around it, just to make sure, so that way if it ends up being that with this roof being kind of flat and they get a whole bunch of snow, if it sits on there, it'll be able to drain out real well. I mean, it won't be able to penetrate it real well. So we're just kind of making sure that we don't have an issue, and at least for the time being, the homeowner won't have to worry about getting another roof right now. So she's going to be able to keep that money in her pocket. Here's the bad thing right now. And if anything, I usually don't charge enough for what I do. I just look at it and say, it's not really worth that kind of money. But at my own house, it's just crazy because I don't like being up on ladders, and I don't like being on real steep roofs. And the back of my house, my soffit, I've gone through and I've changed all the soffits and stuff around my house. It's just, there's a section where the ladder is like this. And when the ladder's like this and it's 2 stories up and then it's another story off the deck, I get scared. I'll be the first one to admit that I'm a punk when it comes to being up on a ladder up high. And so I've been putting that off, trying to do it. And instead I said, you know what? Let me call somebody, have them come out and do it, because I'm too old to be falling off a ladder. And so they came out, and I told them, I said, listen, I've got the vinyl soffit, I've got, the flashing, everything that's already bent. I just need somebody to come out. And it's literally a couple hours. It's a couple hours. And I said, while you're here, if you can take care of the outside edge, because that's 3 stories up, because that's from the basement all the way up to do that. And I know what it takes to do it, and I was supplying the materials. They wanted $4,000. And I'm like, dude, it's too much. It's not that much work. I literally fixed the front one in about an hour and a half by myself. You're ripping me off. So this is the thing that's a problem right now, because so many people are buying homes and so on, and people are at home, and with their stimulus checks, they're looking and saying, well, my home is now my office and my staycation, and they're doing more and more work. So contractors now can pick and choose the jobs that they want. And if it's a job that's not a whole lot of work on it, what you do is, if you really don't want to do it, you put a number on it that's just through the roof. It'll either make the homeowner say, oh, that's too much money, and they'll look for somebody else, and it's no longer your problem, or they'll pay it. And because you're doing something that you're basically stealing money. And that's the case over here. For them, they knew that it wasn't still leaking. Not with all the rain we've had. They knew it wasn't still leaking. But hey, we can get a new roof. And I'm not saying that the cost of the roof was out of line, but you really didn't need it. So the best advice I can give you is shop around. Make sure you deal with somebody on a regular. Same thing with cars. I've been dealing with the same guys at the gas station for 17 years. And if he tells me it's screwed up and messed up, I believe it, because he's taken care of me over the years. So develop a relationship with whatever contractors that you have, because, some people look at it as, I'm going to get my money out of here and I'm gone and I'm never going to have to see him again. But you want to develop a relationship with a contractor, because you don't want to spend more money than you have to. All right, so as soon as that compound's dry, I can go ahead and put a little more mud on it, and I'm out of here. And then it's only a 3-hour drive home. What people do for money. I'm Mark Holmes, and hopefully you don't have any major problems at your house that I can't help you fix. Peace out.